in Europe, it's been pretty emotional on the tennis scene because we've had to say goodbye to Andy Murray and to Rafa Nadal as well, two of undoubtedly the greats of the game. And when you consider what Andy Murray has done for British tennis, it's just astronomical to have become the first man since Fred Perry to win Wimbledon like he did back in 2013. Just ended that sort of monkey off his back and monkey off British tennis back, because it was there for so long. We had the hopes of Tim Henman, we had the hopes of Greg Rusedski as well during that sort of similar time. But it all came down to Andy Murray, and for him to have done that and achieved that, not once but twice at Wimbledon, and let's not forget also won the US Open as well, pretty fantastic for British tennis, and hopefully has inspired more to come through. But not only was he the one to bow out, also the great Rafa Nadal. And we know, obviously, what an incredible career he had with 22 Grand Slam titles, 14 of those coming on his favoured surface of the clay of Roland Garros. I mean, these are two wonderful names, two fabulous sportsmen, Todd, that will be missed from the sport.
Yeah, no question, Natalie. And I think it's so close on the heels of Roger Federer retiring. So you have a huge exit of talent in a short amount of time. And I automatically think of, where do we go next? Who's next up? Who's the rising young talent? Obviously, Carlos Alcaraz, Jannik Sinner, Taylor Fritz, just to name a few. And on the women's side, it's a similar story. I think the Williams sisters are starting to ease out of the picture. Some talent is coming up there, but I think it'll be interesting to see who steps into those positions. That void fills that void, Edward, because there's so much tennis still to come, and there's definitely an appetite, obviously, for the Grand Slams.
Yeah, I've got to say, I am kind of glad that Rafael Nadal bowed out when he did, because I was at Roland Garros for the Olympics to watch him up against Novak Djokovic, and he was just a shadow of the player that he once was. And it was almost sad to see him so labored, trying to return those balls from Djokovic. And in a way, you just kind of wanted to see him being put out of his misery, and you don't want him to be remembered for the latter stages of his career. So great to see him go out. It is sad in a way, though, isn't it? When you look at Federer, you mentioned Federer, Todd, and Nadal as well. They didn't get to go out the way they wanted to.
Right.
Federer ended up retiring and making the announcement whilst he was at home. He didn't get to do one final Wimbledon and go out with that nice montage. Nadal also, he did the Olympics, but he didn't get to go out properly at a Roland Garros and say goodbye. Murray got a nice montage, a good send-off at Wimbledon. I do remember they prepared one for him. Was it the Australian Open I was at a couple of years prior?
Yes.
And then he's like, well, I haven't even confirmed I'm retiring yet. Why are you showing me this?
That was a big emotional goodbye, and he's just looking around thinking, hang on, what's going on here? But you're quite right. At Wimbledon, they did give him a send-off. He wasn't able to play in the singles, did opt to play in the doubles alongside his brother. They didn't venture very far, unfortunately, and was then meant to play in the mixed doubles with Emma Raducanu. And so we were hoping we were still going to get him one more time at Wimbledon. But unfortunately, Emma Raducanu had to pull out through injury because she was still involved in the singles as well. So had to concentrate on the singles. So unfortunately, we didn't get that big farewell that we were all hoping for, even though he still got a goodbye on the centre court. And we also obviously got to see him at Roland Garros, and wow, what a sort of run they had, him and Dan Evans, to the quarterfinals, saving, I think, 7 match points in 2 matches, something like that, which was quite incredible. So yes, in a way, he got his farewell, because what was also really lovely about the Andy Murray story is he'd made the point of saying he wanted to finish at the Olympics because he loved it so much. So it was lovely that he got to play out his final days as a tennis player out at Roland Garros. Unfortunately, didn't come away with a medal, but still did really well with Dan Evans. But yeah, 2 players that I think will be missed. But Novak Djokovic still remains. He's the guy that's got to take on all these young guns. And interestingly, he's taken on Andy Murray as his coach for the Australian Open, which will be interesting to see how they work together. When you consider all the injuries that Andy Murray has had in his latter part of his career, maybe that's part of what Novak Djokovic was thinking. That mentality that he might bring to me as an older player might be a benefit to me at the Australian Open.
Yeah, quite possibly. A very different temperament, I guess, in many ways in the box than Goran Ivanisevic before him.